The Daily Wire's Ben Shapiro, and speaking of the Daily Wire's Candace Owens, said this.
Yeah, and she still works for my company. And I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous.
And there's a lot more. What's going on with the major Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens feud? Is this the start of World War III? Hey, how are you doing? Welcome back to the JP Rex channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend, where we like to call out the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants, shine the light of awareness on woke absurdities, and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters. Civil war within the freedom fighting community. Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, two people I respect quite a bit. They are both working for the Daily Wire. Ben Shapiro is an owner of the Daily Wire. Candace Owens is a major figurehead of the Daily Wire. And the plot is thickening like a Pfizer blood clot to the point where Ben Shapiro tells Candace to quit. So what is going on? Will she quit? Will this hurt the Daily Wire? I'll share my opinions with you on that. I'll give you the full rundown of what's going on. I actually think this is a good thing. Why I think that might surprise you, tell you that in a minute. But first, here's the gist, then the details of what's going on. By the way, Candace was just on Tucker Carlson. She shared her side of what's going on. We're going to take a look at that too. There we go. The Daily Wire is what many in the mainstream would call a right-wing extremist news organization, or what I'll call a news organization. I love the Daily Wire. For the past month on the Daily Wire, we have seen Ben Shapiro. He's gotten really like, hey, Israel-Palestine, like, Israel needs to bomb all the Palestinians to all hell. And he's been very vocal about it. In fact, you can see this article I've read from Ben Shapiro on the Daily Wire. National suicide is immoral. And man, he took a really hard stance, like, peace is not an option here. And basically saying, America is committing suicide if we don't support Israel to kind of bomb the hell out of Palestinians. Not just like get Hamas, but like everybody. Doesn't matter. We've got to get Hamas, even if everybody's involved. So a lot of people have been surprised. A lot of people have been seen that as a little bit distasteful of Ben Shapiro. They don't really like it. I personally, I'm not on board with his stance on the whole thing, but I understand where he's coming from. He is Jewish. He's got some level of ties to Israel. And quite honestly, if I was him, I'd probably feel the exact same way. I'd probably be going even harder in the paint than Ben Shapiro. Now, Candace Owens doesn't see it that way. She's not at all like, pro-Palestine. She's not doing that. But she's kind of like, peace is probably a better thing than war. That started a little bit of a feud. And like all great feuds, Twitter was the tinderbox. So we'll take a look at some tweets from Candace Owens, some replies from Ben Shapiro, and we'll feel the tension. It's kind of like you're at home. Say your mom and dad are divorced, but they both come over to your place for Christmas. Dad has a hot, new, young wife. Yeah, I'm talking 25 years younger than him. I mean, not like your dad's 40 and she's 15. I mean, this isn't the Biden's household. I'm just talking about like dad's happy. He's got some arm candy. Is there real love there? Absolutely not, but dad's happy. What makes him so happy about that is the fact that mom's in the room. She is lonely. He still feels resentment towards her. She still feels resentment towards him. And there you are in the middle on Christmas Day, acting like this huge tension isn't happening in your family. But the family of the Daily Wire, this is a nightmare come true. Candace Owens on November 3rd. Keep in mind, this is almost a month of Ben Shapiro putting out his really hard stance on war for Israel is a great thing. Any expense is acceptable. So Candace Owens puts this out. No government anywhere has a right to commit a genocide, ever. And that's presumably speaking of Israel bombing a bunch of Palestinian locations to get Hamas, but civilians are dying. So some people have said that that technically qualifies as a genocide. Israel government is doing genocide, presumably what this refers to. So no government anywhere has a right to commit a genocide, ever. There is no justification for a genocide. It's all pretty hard to argue with any of that. I can't believe this even needs to be said, or is even considered the least bit controversial to state. Okay. And then promoting peace, not war, Candace Owens then goes on to say, on November 14th, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God." Peacemakers. Again, Ben Shapiro's not calling for peace, he's calling for war. "Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye, when men shall revile you, and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money." All right, so I have a hard time deciphering, what the hell does that actually mean? But, blessed are the peacemakers. That's the sentiment there. Ben Shapiro replies to that tweet of Candace Owens. Ben says, "Candace, if you feel that taking money from the Daily Wire somehow comes between you and God, by all means quit." Okay. Now we're feeling tense, aren't we? Dad just had a few too many drinks. Mom just pushed the Christmas tree over, called Dad's new hot young girlfriend the C word, and now we're feeling it. Candace, if you feel that taking money from the Daily Wire somehow comes between you and God, by all means quit. That's one of the principal owners of the Daily Wire telling a major figurehead of the Daily Wire to quit. I don't really understand where he gets taking money from the Daily Wire comes between you and God. I don't understand how he kind of got that, but tells her by all means quit. Candace Owens replies to Ben Shapiro's tweet, "You have been acting unprofessional and emotionally unhinged for weeks now," presumably talking about his emotional charge about Israel needs to do war. Presumably that's what she's talking about from Ben Shapiro's sentiment. "You've been acting unprofessional and emotionally unhinged for weeks now." By the way, telling anyone they've been acting emotionally unhinged, that's good. It probably won't go well, but it is good. "You've been acting unprofessional and emotionally unhinged for weeks now, and we have all had to sit back and allow it, and have all tried to exercise exceeding understanding for your raw emotion. But you cross a certain line when you come for scripture and read yourself into it. I will not tolerate it." Okay, Candace is bold. Candace is not a doormat. That much we know for sure. Now, from what I understand, first of all, Ben Shapiro within the food chain of the Daily Wire doesn't have the authority to fire Candace Owens. Maybe at some level off the books he does, but he's not her direct CEO. He's I think 50% owner, something like that. Obviously pulls a lot of weight, but Candace Owens doesn't directly report to him. But nonetheless, Candace Owens with a higher up, he's telling her to quit. She's holding the line. She's saying, "You've been acting emotionally unhinged. We've all been trying to tolerate it and understanding your raw emotion," which that's cool. Of course he has raw emotion. He's Jewish. I don't know how many generations or whatever you go back to his direct connections to Israel, but understandable he has raw emotions. But she says you've crossed a line. Okay. She's very good at saying what she thinks. That much we know. But the plot does thicken once again, like a 12th booster. How so? Well, probably short of Joe Rogan, the most powerful show platform in terms of voice and reach would be Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, his show airs exclusively on Twitter, now X, which I will never call it that, even though I just technically did. It's always going to be Twitter to me. Just like the WWE, I don't think so. It's a WWF, if you ask me. So Candace, just yesterday, she was on Tucker Carlson's show, and amongst other things that her and Mr. Carlson discussed was this conflict between her and Ben Shapiro, which it's just an interesting conflict because, one, they're both freedom fighters. They are both highly intelligent people. Not only do they both work for the Daily Wire, but Ben Shapiro is a major owner of the Daily Wire. And before we look at the Tucker Carlson clip, mainstream media is actually picking this up. They're freaking happy about it. Like, look at these two extremists fighting. Is this the end of the freedom movement? Go screw yourselves, mainstream media. But see New York Post, which is a little less mainstream than some of the others, but their title, Candace Owens slams emotionally unhinged Ben Shapiro as Israel feud escalates. And we've got Newsweek. Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro are trying to destroy each other. Then you have the Rolling Stone. Man, they are a significantly degenerate news organization. I despise the Rolling Stone, but their coverage of this is titled, By All Means Quit. The Daily Wire's biggest stars are fighting. Disagreements over the Israel-Hamas war have boiled over into a public feud between the Daily Wire's Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens. Right. MSN. Far-right media clash. Dude, they got it. They got it. They can't help but not be immature propaganda yahoos, even in their title of this. Like, far-right media. Oh, you mean sensible media? Yeah, sensible is on the far right relative to where you're at, guys. Far right media clash. The Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens blow up explained. And then on this website I've never heard of before, Candace Owens responds to Ben Shapiro in Sit Down with Tucker. Let's take a look at what Candace had to say on Tucker Carlson.
That's usually a tell. And speaking of, so I was out of the country yesterday. And didn't have adequate internet access on the plane to really follow this. And I don't understand the context exactly, but the internet was dominated yesterday by video of Ben Shapiro.
I'll just stop you right there. I've been in that studio with Tucker. It is a beautiful place. Old barn. It's really cool. Very authentic, rustic, like speaks to his character. Anyway, enough of my self-serving agenda. Back to the story.
Who you work with at the Daily Wire, I think it's fair to say, attacking you. Here's the video. I just want to get your reaction to it.
Yes, the question was about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful.
Okay, so her behavior during the Israel-Palestine conflict has been disgraceful, says Ben Shapiro. Presumably, he believes her behavior has been disgraceful because she's putting out messages advocating peace is better, peace is more godly, rather than blow them to all hell, doesn't matter about civilians, just get them. I believe that's why he's saying her behavior has been disgraceful.
Yeah, she still works for my company. I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. It's not faux sophistication, it's ridiculous. Everybody can see the moves that she's making and the things that she's saying, and I find them disreputable.
Okay. That's what Ben Shapiro had to say. The way that was filmed, he either probably didn't know it was being filmed or didn't think that, like, one person at, like, that looked like some kind of donor dinner. I don't know if it was, but like people Ben Shapiro doesn't really want to be around, but he has to be around them probably because, like, I don't know, there's some kind of benefit he's getting. But nonetheless, my speculation would be he didn't intend on Candace hearing those exact words spoken about her with her not present.
So maybe there's a point in the video where he explains what exactly you did wrong and how you were wrong. I haven't seen it. But to call somebody, quote, absolutely disgraceful, particularly a coworker, seems like a pretty big step. And I really don't know the background here. What is that about?
He called her disgraceful because she's black. Love to get a leftist perspective on it.
You know, there isn't much of a background. I saw the video when everybody else saw it when I woke up.
No one warned you about it.
Nobody warned me about it. It looks like maybe he didn't know he was being recorded. It looks
Yes.
like it was some sort of a private event. I got no clarity on the issue that he was particularly speaking on, and in what was said, I can't respond to it beyond what he's saying because it's just ad hominem attacks. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's not, we disagree, or
Yeah.
I don't think she's correct, or maybe she doesn't know what she's talking about. It's absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah, exactly. And So I can't respond to it on a level of intellect because there's nothing that he has expressed in that, at least in that short clip, that he fundamentally disagrees with in terms of what I said. But I will say I'm not going to respond with the same ad hominem attacks.
Yes.
I don't think it helps further discussion. And it.
By the way, most people don't respond well to being called disgraceful. Except you and your spouse are having a little bit of a conflict. Call your spouse disgraceful. Leave me a comment. Let me know how well that goes for you. I'm going to try that tonight.
If that was me that was caught on a video saying that about colleagues that I work with, I would be embarrassed. So I think that the video speaks more to Ben's character than it speaks to mine.
Has he texted you to apologize?
So a little bit of shots fired right there. I think the video speaks more to Ben's character than mine. Okay. Shots fired, but fair enough. Yeah.
Explain or anything?
No, nothing. I haven't heard a single word. It just was sort of something that he said. And you know what? Ben and I have many disagreements, so I don't think that that's particularly something that's interesting. We disagreed on the COVID vaccine. We disagree on Ukraine and Russia. He has taken virtually every stance that has been the opposite of mine on every issue over the last 5 years. So I don't think that that's particularly remarkable.
Vaccine. Really, I didn't remember that.
Yeah, he was pro the COVID vaccine. I was anti the vaccine. You know, we were all idiots for not getting the vaccine. So that's totally fine. I am totally.
I definitely wasn't on board with Shapiro's stance on that either.
Open to people having a difference in opinion.
Right.
I would hope that amongst colleagues that it would always be a civil disagreement, and I would never in a private event stand on a table and talk badly about Ben.
It's a little weird. So he was on the left on those three biggest issues of our time, is what you're saying?
He has converted his opinions. He's accepted responsibility. He said, I was wrong about the vaccine.
Oh, good.
He is, obviously pro pharma. His mom's a doctor. And I say to people, I'm very aware of my perspectives on big pharma, and I talk about it on my show openly. And I think that that's a tremendous credit to the Daily Wire that they allow a difference of opinions. But I would, as I said, hope that it would remain respectful and that you wouldn't throw your colleagues under a bus, so to speak.
So that's Candace responding. I think she came across well. She comes across as someone with boundaries, assertiveness. She ain't no doormat for anybody. So I think that's a relatively tasteful response. For the most part, when I see freedom-loving people that I love, I admire, doesn't mean I agree with everything they have to say. I've never met anybody who I agree with 100% of what they have to say. I don't even agree with myself 100% of the time. And I don't let that be the basis for I like someone or I don't. It's like, dude, mostly like, do I feel like they're earnestly pursuing truth? If so, there's certainly going to be a lot that they say that I agree with, and some things not. With that said, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, they fall into that category. So I do think there needs to be a level of vigilance with the freedom fighting community to basically not be emotionally unhinged, divided. Because of course, divided we fall, united we stand, that kind of thing. And I'm sure the corrupt powers that be, they just love seeing the freedom fighting community do a bunch of infighting, getting divided and not having as much togetherness, therefore not having as much strength, having people look uncredible, maybe discrediting organizations that they're with, the Daily Wire. I'm sure the mainstream would love to see that. So I do think there needs to be a level of caution there. And also I think, debate is how better opinions rise to the top. It's a purification process. So it's obviously essential for people within the freedom-loving community to have disagreements with each other. That said, I'm just a little cautious and don't want to see a wildfire started. Yet when it comes to drama, Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens, they tend to have drama surrounding them. And I'm not talking about shallow drama like the Kardashians, but they're not afraid of conflict. I think that's because they're bold, they're courageous, they're both highly intelligent. So when they have something to say, they're going to say it. And if they think someone's full of crap, they're going to say it. And they'll have a lot of intelligence backing up that opinion. Here's a headline reminding us from 1 year ago. Candace Owens opens up about her beef with former best friend for life, Donald Trump. They had a falling out. Steven Crowder, the messy feud between Steven Crowder and Candace Owens explained. And I also remember Candace Owens' feud / falling out with comedian Nicole Arbor. Conservative personality, Nicole Arbor calls out Candace Owens and the problem with conservatives. Nicole actually stormed off the set of Candace Owens' show. So now it's happening with Ben Shapiro. So there's nothing super shocking about this infighting. Maybe what's most surprising is like, oh, they're both major figureheads within the Daily Wire. And like, he's an owner, so he's telling her to quit. And she's telling him he's emotionally unhinged. Not too shocking, but also like a little surprising, the infighting. I'll tell you my hope, then I'll tell you my prediction. My hope is that they kind of calm down, find common ground, and just continue respecting each other and respecting the differences of opinions that they have. That's great. Like, cool, you have different opinions. I respect you. I don't agree with you, but I respect you. I would be a little heartbroken if Candace Owens was pushed out of the Daily Wire over this, because she is a powerful voice of reason. She's a great personality. She is smart as hell. So I think her voice is amplified really well from the Daily Wire platform. They put a lot of money into her, get her out there, beautiful production value of her show. Don't get me wrong. Candace Owens, like she's like a Jordan Peterson or a Joe Rogan in the sense that it doesn't matter what platform they're on or if you get deplatformed, like she's reached a critical point of orbit in success. She's got eyes on her, and she could, kind of like Tucker Carlson, Fox fires you. Cool, I'll start a show on Twitter and look, oh, that's bigger than what we were doing on Fox. I'm not worried about Candace's success. She'll be successful no matter what, yet I do think she has helped, and I think she reaches more people from being on the Daily Wire. So my hope is that things become a little bit more friendly so that that relationship can stay intact. Here is the prediction, because some would ask, JP, is this bad for the Daily Wire? Is this a bad look? Because, I mean, it's a drama, it's fighting. Is this bad? Here's my opinion. No. I don't think this is bad for the Daily Wire. And not only do I not think it's bad, I think it's good. Why is that, JP? Doing this kind of like fighting, if you will. This isn't my style. It's not like I could feel the exact same way as one of them, and I'm not going to be doing this publicly. It's just not my style whatsoever, and I don't recommend that people adopt this as their style. Then why is it that I actually think it's a good thing for the Daily Wire? I think it makes them look more credible. Why? Because they have two of their major figureheads, their authors, if you will, their journalists, if you will, disagreeing with each other, having very different perspectives about a major world event / political issue. That's called diversity, ladies and gentlemen. And that's the actual diversity that matters. Diversity of opinion. Will you catch the New York Times, for example, or CNN having any of their figureheads, their major journalists, having a significantly different opinion about a major world event or political issue? Have you ever seen anyone on CNN say like, I don't think the jab's a good thing? And then someone else is like, no, it's definitely a good thing. No, they are all in lockstep with each other. When everybody within a media organization is in lockstep with each other, that's because they're riding down the train track of the narrative, which means there's not critical thinking involved, which means there's not diversity of opinion, even though, like, cool, you're a trans cat, thank you for the diversity, but we all think the same, or at least we all write the same because we're afraid not to. You know, cool, this media organization has no investment in pursuing truth. But when you have differences of opinions, it's very helpful for the pursuit of truth. It's a functional debate, and debates are important to purify the situation, get a little more truth out there. In that respect, I think this is a very good look for the Daily Wire. It gives them a lot of credibility. There's no question the Daily Wire, everybody there leans conservative, and that's great. Like, it's a conservative news outlet. But of course it would be suspicious if they're like, oh, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, Jordan Peterson, Michael Knowles, why do they all agree with each other all the time? They're all saying the same thing, same opinion. And I think that would be a valid concern if that was the case, because it'd be like, well, maybe they're not pursuing truth. They're pursuing their narrative. So that, in my opinion, makes Daily Wire look more credible. On the surface, like, yeah, there's, some could say, hey, there's some immaturity, there's some fighting, that makes them look less credible. Yeah, a bit on the surface, but that's like 10%. The 90% underneath that is you have two very strong, very intelligent people, very passionate about pursuing truth. And their pursuit of truth now has a diversity of opinion. He believes this, she believes that, but they're so damn committed to truth. Neither one of them lays down and becomes a doormat. It's like, well, okay, I'll shut up because you're disagreeing. No. I love the bold courageousness, the warriorness of how both Ben and Candace are. So after first glance, I think this is a good look for the Daily Wire. And also hats off to the Daily Wire for not only allowing it, but supporting it. I would be concerned if the Daily Wire comes out and says, yeah, we had to fire Candace because she wasn't thinking the way we want her to think. That would be a concern. And mark my words, if they do that, I will publicly be voicing concern. I don't think they'll do that. I love it. Now, who do I agree with? Ben or Candace? I kind of agree with both of them. On the whole, I agree with Candace's, like, peace is more godly, peace is necessary. I do think the media is absolutely playing the public to not only support but cheer for a war. Have you ever heard of the military-industrial complex? You have? Okay. Think about that. And are you believing the same media where for several years during COVID, you became accustomed to realizing what the media is saying is just propaganda, not to be trusted? But now so many of those same people are actually falling for it. They're like, oh, look at what they're showing me about Israel and Palestine. Look at that. That's making me mad. I definitely want war now based on what I'm seeing from the media. I think a lot of people are getting played by the media. Disclaimer, I'm not a military general. I'm not qualified to run the country, let alone run the world. Obviously, what Hamas did is pure evil. And does that justify, like, is it a net good result? Are more lives actually going to be saved if you just bomb the hell out of Palestine, Gaza? Cool, you got Hamas, and you got tens of thousands of innocent people. I could imagine how it's possible, as bad as that is, that's like the net best thing. I could also imagine, like, it's possible that, like, not doing that, getting Hamas in other ways, snipers, you know what I mean? I could imagine that's possible too. I'll be maybe one of the only people honest with you. I don't know what the best solution is, but what I do know is the public is being played to support a war. They're being played by the media. You've got governments that aren't necessarily honest. Like, the people are great, the governments are different from the people. Keep in mind, Israel, their mandates, some of the most tyrannical mandates there were. So you definitely want to consider, that government is different from the people, and same with the Hamas terrorists and the people of Palestine. That's different. So I do love Candace Owens' peace perspective. I think that's underrepresented, and that, like, helps us remember our humanity. Like, I would love to see shit resolved through peace. And then, like, I agree with Ben in the sense, like, I imagine if I was him, I was Jewish, I had some kind of roots going back to Israel, like, dude, I'd be all about, like, get them, guys. So in that sense, I agree with them. On the whole, I guess I'd probably agree with Candace Owens a little bit more, but I also agree with, I want to hear what everybody has to say. They're both definitely smarter than me, so I want to listen to them. Hopefully World War III doesn't break out, started by Candace Owens versus Ben Shapiro. We shall see, but that is the long and the short of what's going on with the Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens conflict. Appreciate you watching, my friend. I'll look forward to seeing you on our next video, but until then, check out this message. Hey there, my friends. I've got some thrilling news to share with you. The Bioptimizer's Black Friday mega sale is in full swing. And guess what? It's not just a one-day thing. It's happening throughout the entire month of November. This mega deal is only available to my viewers with my code. That's right. It's our little secret. Now, you already know my unwavering trust in Bioptimizers. These guys are the real deal when it comes to digestion, and let's not forget about their top-of-the-line magnesium. It's the best on the market. Plus, they back up their products with a rock-solid 365-day, no-questions-asked money-back guarantee. Now is the time of the year when you fill up your shopping carts and stock up on Bioptimizer's goodness. Trust me when I say this, you won't find a better Black Friday deal anywhere, not even on the almighty Amazon. The biggest discount you can get with gifts with purchase is available only at my page, bioptimizers.com/JPReacts with code JPReacts. We all have those never-ending Black Friday wish lists, but this year, I challenge you to put your health at the top of that list. Instead of those impulse purchases, let's focus on what really matters. So why wait? Choose health over unnecessary things this Black Friday. Head over to bioptimizers.com/JPReacts and use code JPReacts at checkout. Remember, it's bioptimizers.com/JPReacts with code JPReacts at checkout. Don't miss out on this mega deal for my viewers only.